Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another, or I don't know, it's been a while, an alternative factuals video. Truthfully, I don't know, I kind of miss you guys, and then it's just like I didn't really want to deal with YouTube and the changes on the platform and all that stuff, blah blah blah. Not important. But I did post a basically a very small little, not questionnaire, but I just wanted to see if you guys would be interested if I did post a video, just, to pop back in, whatever like that. And most of you did. Some of you were just like, nah, and that's cool. Maybe you just didn't want me to talk about the Caped Crusader, but still I got a majority vote, so they won. But I do want to talk about Caped Crusader as a show because it is very, very good. I've seen it a little while back, but ultimately I think the show has a very similar feel to Batman the Animated Series. And also the reason why I wanted to primarily talk about it, or kind of, the foundation of why I'm talking about it, is mostly because some of the changes they made to some of the characters, like Commissioner Gordon and Barbara, he made them, the creators of the show and the showrunners of the show, whatever like that, they made the characters black. Now, as you know, I'm a very black YouTube channel, clearly, but ultimately I find it interesting because the way that they did it, it didn't subtract from the story. They still were pretty much their characters. They just happened to be black. They were still people. And that's what I think is good writing. When you write a character and their experiences, yes, is going to feed into the story as their experiences, kind of as characters develop and go along, clearly. But ultimately as well, they are still characters that add to the story without feeling super forced. And I'm not one of those people, who, I believe in representation. I truly do. But I, above all else, believe in proper representation, like making sure that you're adding characters not only to represent, but also they're good, solid, sustainable characters. And so far, that is what it seems like. Now, this show is super duper good. It's not perfect, but like I said, has a lot of the same tendencies of Batman the Animated Series that I really enjoy. Now, I also want to talk about, what's his name? Papa Midnight. He was the one who was in the episode with the ghost, where at first I thought it was somebody who was, it was a science situation and they were just like, pretending to be a ghost, but then come to find out it really was a ghost. And I was like, okay, cool. So they have the supernatural aspect to it, just like the supernatural aspect of Batman the Animated Series when he did meet Etrigan. Well, no, I think that was, yeah, he met Etrigan before, and also when he just encountered other magical beings later on. That was when, like, Batman, the New Adventures of Batman and Robin and stuff like that, when the animation style changed a little bit, when that and the Superman show kind of coexisted in the same universe. But nonetheless, they actually developed, or end up developing a supernatural aspect to the show, which I think is super cool, while the show was still taking place back in the day. So you see the cars and the style, and even though Batman's, Gotham, it varies from comic books, but ultimately it still takes place in that time when the cars are from like the 1960s, 70s. So this is still very much old school kind of, background going on, versus the newer comics and, even Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. Even though Gotham had a couple of those old cars or kind of that style, the technology that was invented was still, hundreds of years ahead of what, they were supposed to have. So super dope. Now, I kind of want to dive into Papa Midnight a little bit, because we already know he's a character who showed up in DC Comics. He's kind of like this on and off again rival and enemy of John Constantine, which means we can end up seeing John Constantine in the show because you already introduced the mystical aspect to it. Now, we know that his powers are due more or less due to the mastery of voodoo, and he is immortal because clearly in the episode when he was giving Batman or Bruce Wayne or whatever the advice for the ghost, how to deal with him, he knew how to remedy the situation, and he allowed him to remedy the situation, and he popped up at the end of the episode right on time to collect that soul of the ghost. So clearly you can tell he knows more than meets the eye. And even in the comic books, he uses his supernatural abilities to run the criminal underworld. So he has like connections to the underworld. He makes money and he uses immortality to kind of better his own personal gains. So I really enjoyed that episode because, like I said, once again, I'll say it again and again and again, this show is very reminiscent of the original Batman animated series where, yeah, there's some fast action, yeah, there's some stuff going on, but it's primarily him being a detective, him sitting, figuring out what to do, if something is possible. And in this case, when it came to the episode with the supernatural spirit, him actually considering the fact that this truly could be a ghost. And, you know, he at first, you know, he brushed it off, but then Alfred was the one who was like, this might be a supernatural ghost, you know, because Alfred is, you know, a little superstitious in reality, but he was the one who initially believed it could have been a ghost. And then obviously Batman having an open mind, realizing, okay, yeah, this is something that is not science. But this was a super good show, and I'm actually looking forward to the Caped Crusader season 2. I think it was only what, like maybe like 10-12 episodes or something like that. Also, one thing I want to add as well, there are some people who are complaining about the race and gender swapping and whatever like that. Some people are just, you know, not too many people. It still was accepted a lot better compared to any other situation. But I think people are upset about it because, you know, Gordon's black and, you know, Barbara is a black ginger. But also what people don't seem to be paying attention to is that Dr. Harleen Quinzel from the show, you know, Harley Quinn, she's of Asian descent in the show as well. And, you know, I don't understand why people don't understand. I think even, I forget the name of the other detective, the female detective, who's like not crooked. I think she's not even white either. I think she might be like Native American or something like that. I could be wrong. Do not hold me, like, you know, don't hold that as a fact. You know, I believe I remember hearing something about that. But Renee Montoya, who's the detective, I believe she's some form of person of color in the Caped Crusader. Let me double check that for a split second. And yeah, she is a non-white character. So you have Gordon, you have Harleen Quinzel, you have Barbara, then you got Renee Montoya, who is the daughter of Dominican immigrants. So we have Latin, Black, and Asian, but yet people seem to be hyper fixated on the, you know, Black aspect, which I think is really corny. But in reality, there's multiple characters that are non-white characters in the show that were done well. You know, they didn't, you know, put these aspects of the story in for it to consume the story. They were just characters that just so happened to be that. And I think in this case, especially due to the time frame in which this show takes place, I think it's done fairly well. So if you haven't seen the show yet, be sure to watch it. So remember, this is the, you know, the showrunner is Bruce Timm, and this is like I said, a 10-episode series that I think is super dope, and I'm actually looking forward to this show in general. And also something else that I wanted to touch upon before I guess I wrap up this very short video, and maybe this could be a way I can make videos once or twice a month just to touch base with you guys, is I like the Harley Quinn that came into this series, where it's more of a, okay, well, this is what's going on with the with her character in terms of like, it's not so much she's brainwashed by the Joker. She comes into existence almost as a necessary evil against rich people, you know, to prevent them from doing these horrible things to Gotham. So she's a criminal out of necessity, which characters like that, just like how we all enjoy Thanos from, you know, the Infinity Saga, is he was a villain out of necessity. You know, he was trying to save the universe. And in this case, she's trying to save Gotham, but she's willing to do anything. By any means necessary, she's willing to achieve her goal. And depending on your philosophical beliefs, you know, if you're willing to do anything it takes to achieve a particular goal, is it inherently wrong? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on what you believe. But nonetheless, that's also something very interesting about this show as well. It takes some of the basic concepts we knew about the series and these characters, and it begins to actually kind of put them in perspectives of things, not only just a little more, you know, believable, logical, and, you know, all that stuff. But it actually takes those concepts and it actually puts it on its head, where we're understanding these characters a little bit differently. What if Harley Quinn was someone who knew that Gotham had to be saved, but then she started doing this stuff, you know, like simply to save Gotham, but it was still very messed up stuff, you know, brainwashing these people, using her ability to, you know, hypnotize or, you know, manipulate, you know, people's memories or minds, you know, to actually try and save Gotham. You know, would this be right or wrong? You know, this just small things like that make a show really good when characters are complex and you have multiple layers. So I think stuff like this is super cool. I love the show. Let me know in the comments, because I do actually want to talk about the show more often, because this will be one of the reasons why I can make a return if we talk about the shows, or maybe talk about certain concepts or episodes or characters, and just overall just chat like we used to. Let me know how y'all feel, and I hope you enjoyed this little me ranting a little bit, and I'll holla at y'all later. Peace.